Here's Brody Brazil.
The Angels can't win with Mike Trout and Ohtani on their roster. Now, how in the heck does a team not win with those two? It's not their fault. It is not Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani as the reason why they have not made a playoffs since 2014. Check this out. The Angels have not won a playoff game since 2009. Is that 14 years ago? 14 years, and the Angels have only been in one playoff series. Do you remember that playoff series? Do you even remember the reason why the Angels got in the playoffs in 2014? Oh, how about the Oakland A's? Champions of the entire league standings at the All-Star break. And then the Cespedes trade happened. And then John Lester couldn't pick anybody off in a wild card game. And the A's literally in 2014, they hit the skids so bad down the stretch that they had to win game 162 in Texas to even make the playoffs and get a wild card spot. I don't want to say the A's gave it to the Angels. Angels were good down the stretch, and the Angels beat the A's head-to-head. But, man, the A's dropped the ball in 2014. So then the Angels win the West. Angels go to a ALDS series. They face the Kansas City Royals, who beat the A's in a wild card playoff game with multiple lead changes. And the Royals, was 12 or 13 innings, they won a barn burner of a baseball game that could have gone either way. Then the Royals sweep the Angels in the ALDS. Then I think it was the Tigers. They swept the Tigers or whoever it was in the ALCS. They go all the way and don't even lose their first playoff game, the Royals, until the World Series when they faced the Giants. Ultimately lost the World Series to San Francisco. Okay, back to the Angels. Mike Trout has never won a playoff game. He's never been a part of it's amazing. The Angels and Ohtani and Trout just go to show you that sports cannot be won with a single player. And that's why as we look at different teams, I'm a Sharks guy, we talk about potentially landing the number one pick in the NHL draft this summer. Yeah, well, that would be great. But it doesn't mean anything unless you have the complementary pieces to go around it. Let's come closer to home here. Let's talk about the Warriors. The Golden State Warriors never had a Klay Thompson, nor a Draymond Green, nor an Andre Iguodala, nor a Kevin Durant for a certain time period, nor, a lot of the contributing players over the years. If it was just Steph Curry this whole time, if he was the only commonality between 2015 and now, how many titles did they have? And they could have good players during that span, but you need the core pieces. You need the foundational pieces to go along with the superstars. Now, in the Angels' case, it's pretty clear. They score runs. Sometimes their starters give up a lot of runs. And sometimes, even more recently and even more blatantly, their bullpen cannot hold other teams down in the late innings. I present to you the A's beating Shohei Ohtani on opening night. Through 8 innings, through 7 innings, getting 2 hits, right? Ohtani was in there a majority of that time. Ohtani kept the A's silent, struck out 10 A's batters. Ohtani has to come out, though, because he can't throw 175 pitches on opening night. Aaron Loop comes in. The A's get to him. They score twice, bottom of the 8th. Angels bat top of the 9th. Don't score. It's over. 2-1. Ohtani, great job. You allowed 2 hits on 7 innings, 100 pitches or so. Struck out 10, and you lose. It's a team game. So this is not the correct part of it. You're right. They haven't done what they should be doing with those 2 guys. But the real part of it is that the complementary pieces aren't there. And because of that, that's the reason that the Angels are, and the Astros in the division, and now Seattle is contending in the AL West. It's only going to get harder for these guys to do what they're supposed to do. And if you're Shohei Ohtani, you signed this 1-year deal, $30 million to avoid arbitration, which an arbitrator might have given Shohei more than 30, might have given him 35, but at that point we're penny pinching. He wanted to stay there, wanted to play this out. Angels talked about potential ownership change, selling the team in the last 12 months. Sounds like they're not going to do that anymore. Wanted to build a new ballpark or fix up Angel Stadium or entirely redo it. Sounds like that's not going to happen anymore. at least with the current state of politics down there. So if you're Shohei Ohtani, now Trout is on a long-term deal. He's entrenched. I mean, he could get traded, but he's entrenched. Ohtani is not. His feet are not as deep in the sand as Mike Trout. Would he want to hang on to that forever? I don't know. It's a great conversation. I'll leave it with this. You could almost say that by the end of their careers, if nothing changes and these guys keep playing it out with the Angels and they never really get a chance. I mean, the World Baseball Classic, Trout and Ohtani was so interesting because you're like, oh, here's two guys we've never seen on the baseball stage like they should be nearly every year, but they're not. You know, look at the Padres. Big names, but surrounded by a bunch more other big names and the right players. Let me just say this. Imagine the Oakland A's eye for talent and the way that the Angels spend money. Like imagine if you gave David Forst and Billy Beane over the years, right? You gave that front office, give them Trout and Ohtani to start with, and give them the Angels' budget and see what they build around those two players. Ha! That is a back-to-back-to-back World Series title team right there. Yeah. Trout, in the last surge of A's players, put Trout and Ohtani on a team with Chapman, Olsen, Chris Bassett, Frankie Montas, Ramon Laureano. At the deadline, you get a Starling Marte, a Josh Harrison. All that with Trout and Ohtani on the A's. Yeah. So, shows you the shortfall of the Angels.